welcome back. Hope you're all rejuvenated. We're going to just dive right in to, we have 3 presentations, and each of them will last up to 15 minutes. And here's what I'd say is we can make time for one quick question or comment at the end of each talk. So if you have something that moves you to speak, I don't know if anybody here is a Quaker, but this is like Quaker rules. The inner light moves you to say something at that point. Make it short, and just we'll try to then come back to it at the end. But just as part of a transition, so after Stefan speaks, before Catalina gets set up, you have that time. So if something strikes you, share it at that point, and then hopefully at the end we'll be able to continue the conversation. All right. And that you. Oh, actually, Alexis first. So.
Okay, Alexis.
Okay, also hello everyone. I'm Alexis, and our project title here is Mundus Media Dreams because it's from the Mundus journalism program, but we have it also in Prague and in Aarhus, but here this is Munich. So I'm speaking only for Mundus Munich Media Dreams. And subtitle is Envisioning the Societal Future of AI Journalism through Public Scholarship. So starting point is like the poly-crisis in the world, and we do a public scholarship project. How can AI make journalism and society better? So if we just start, if we reflect about AI and compare it to the start of the internet, where we had this kind of internet euphoria. We had the garage founders, hippie spirit, Google, don't be evil, Wikipedia, and in journalism especially, like this grassroots journalism, everyone can be a journalist. Until the Arab Spring, it's a democracy media. And now we have this AI, and it's more kind of a dystopia, Elon Musk's warnings about the profound risks of society. Or you see here Anthony Blinken in his speech of foreign affairs, leading powers of the world must invest in AI technologies that can shape everything from how we generate energy, how we do our jobs, how we wage war. And so I think this public scholarship approach is necessary in the sense, okay. So it's a bottom-up approach. And the background, I'm not an AI researcher so far. So the background is a democracy project where we have a transdisciplinary research. This means we combine academia, civil society, and industry. And the outcome is our project. So we do, as a core method, future workshops. So it's first collecting the criticism, clustering them, creating a utopia, which are wishes, and then going to concrete proposals for the solutions. And if we talked before, where's Gen Z? So we take this question with our Mundus students. It's a journalism program where we have in Munich 21 students from 16 countries. And yes, we have 3 stages. First, we do the future workshop just with the students. Now they are in the field phase, so they make interviews with Gen Z people around the world. Third stage then is that we deepen the solution together with experts. Today, we are still in this Media Future Lab phase with our students, and these are the results that I present today. So we collected all the criticisms, like communication scholars remind this model to Shoemaker and Riese. And so in the individuals there, what are the problems in journalism? It's precarity, violence against journalism, and legal restrictions in some countries. In the newsroom there, we have quality problems, clickbait, the access for young journalists is bad, and hierarchies. On the social there, we have mistrust, lack of representation, fake news, and biases in reporting. Economics there, we have on the one side oligopols, on the other side, and a lack of financing. And at the institutional sphere, we have authoritarian regimes or also too much state control. Global sphere, we have wars, inequality, and climate change as the main problems. So if you think now of AI, it might reinforce more all these problems. We have the concern if the journalists lose their jobs. We have quality ethical concerns. We have the fake bots, algorithmic biases, big and transparent techno companies, and misuse by authoritarian governments. And on the global sphere, we even might increase disparity. Before in the talk, we heard also this environmental problem. So all the spheres can reinforce. What are the potentials now we have with AI? To make it short, it's an umbrella for many things. It's also this definition we have in communication studies in more words. And we have the two forms, traditional AI and the generative AI. In communication studies, normally most research is going now through the news cycle. So they look at the potentials of AI and go news gathering. How can this news gathering be improved? Then the news production and then the news distribution. In our approach, we now apply this way for the problems of the world. So what I'm reading now is like, this is Gen Z words. So this is pure results of our working groups and not my conclusions in this sense. So the wish on the individual level is, in an ideal world, the journalist's jobs would be secure, stable, sustainable, fairly remunerated, and safe. AI solutions would be first, reduce the workload. There AI can help, but only by coupling this with protected timeout, so that the reduced workload for journalists doesn't lead to more work in other things, taking like that this AI time really saves energy, also to reduce stress and burnout. In authoritarian countries, the solution is that using drones might facilitate going to war or dangerous regions. So here we can use AI, but they haven't found a solution to against precarity of journalists. In the newsrooms there, we also have this kind of efficiency that we have the detecting technology possibilities, and it's mostly about increasing efficiency again. And but let's say we have no solution against the clickbait so far and against the strong hierarchies in newsrooms. So the evaluation is yes, 50% it can help the AI technology. If we go to the social sphere, we can say, for example, we can have hiring technologies to increase the diversity in newsrooms, or we have personalized consumption accounting for bias to fight echo chambers. And here we have some examples where it's already practiced. The AI evolution of the group was also medium for improvement. Economics there, we have especially what we heard, like this possibilities of cost reduction in the newsrooms. We have optimizing the search and machines. So it's about improving the business model and resource allocation. But here also the evaluation in the end of the working group was the improvement is low because it's just about optimization and not solutions for structural changes. Institutional sphere, we have the idea of providing shortcuts against censorship, making the AI, how AI can make it more transparent and allow journalists to create more and enhanced content with less resources. So in the end, we also come a bit to this efficiency point. global sphere. We have, for example, the example of Denmark, that we can create algorithms to detect constructive journalism. That we have, like the UNICEF has a machine learning program that can predict places where the aid is most necessary. Our final conclusion is more, I wouldn't give a summary now of our discussions. For us, it's now more important here to get ideas. We're in the early stage, and to raise this question, and yes, to find inspiration through our audience. And here.
Well, stay there, Alexis, because you've managed your time well, and I think we should spend at least a few minutes just gathering right now. So while this is fresh in your mind, a couple of things. So ideas that you might have, or also just from that, what you just saw, what are key takeaways? What is something you just either learned or are curious to hear more about? Is that fair? And then I can let you control this part if you'd like.
No, you're a good moderator.
Introverts can pass a note around the side to me. Can you go back to number 3?
Yes.
As an example, I love that we have this best cases list, right? And so a takeaway for me is that I'm sort of interested in what is happening, especially given what's happening today and this week in Georgia, right? What does a myth detector look like in one of the globe's important information conflict hotspots? So you don't have to answer that, but that's something that is a takeaway for me. Like, I want to hear more about that. Yeah.
In the first step towards AI evaluation, not in the it's
Here?
no.
No.
When you go to separate slides, no, yeah. So at the bottom of each slide, you have AI evaluation.
Yes.
But not in the 5th and 6th slide.
Yes.
So number 1, how did you get that AI evaluation? And question 2, why in the last 2 slides you didn't use that? Thanks.
Yes, first in the last slide, they made it here. And it's also like the AI evaluation, it's the estimate by the students. Like I gave them the question, what is your evaluation about? And we had in this session also 2 informatics, like they were the experts. So they gave, their evaluation too. But here, as we heard before, like what is Gen Z saying? This is Gen Z's words and evaluations so far. And if we want to take them serious, this is the first step of them.
And go to 6, that also, because that's what you're asking about, 5 and 6.
Okay, here. Yes, here it's missing. Yeah, but I think we can also get in the first presentation, in the second presentation today, here we got good evaluation that.
This was a good media literacy exercise because we're wondering transparency. What are you hiding, Alexis? And now we know you're not hiding anything. It's the space on a slide problem. There's probably a good German word for this, too crowded a slide or something like that, because your language is better.
You overload.
Other takeaways, and Mohammed.
Thank you, Alexis, for this interesting communication. Sorry, maybe I have missed the slide, but could you tell us a little bit about the methodology?
Yeah. So it's future workshops. So this is Robert Jung in the 1960s, like when the spirit was that society can, with societal participation, we can create a better future than only designed by industry and military experts. So this kind of workshops, you can modify them in 100 ways. the only important thing is that you always follow the triad of critique, utopia, and concrete solutions. So you can make these workshops like over 1 week that the people discuss 2 days only in deep the problems. The third day you create utopias, and the fourth and fifth day you work on the solutions. You can invite experts to that to have really deep workshops, but you can also make speed up workshops. Like you can make future with, let's say, if you have 3-4 people, you can make a future workshop in only 3 hours. And you can also make single interviews following this kind of triad, and then you put these interviews together. So it's Robert Jung. It was really with fantasy against social resignation. I made them in Cuba, we made them in Russia. So we really make them global. The only requirement in the end is this triad.
All right, Alexis, thank you very much.
Okay.
So Catalina is up next, and Catalina, I just want to note that you're here from Romania, and my timer is just for transparency's sake is showing that that Alexis was exactly on time, and the other transparency is that my inability to press the right button shows my limitations in technology. But Catalina, I appreciate that you are delivering this paper at a time when you are trying to figure out what is going on. So the extent to which you want to deviate from the slides or the extent to which you want to forget what's happening, it's all up to you. But I want us all to sort of recognize the
I will
you're
do
visiting
just
us.
short. We have a new guy, a new anti-guy running for election in Romania. Euronews says he's the new messiah of TikTok because he based his campaign on TikTok on fake boots. So there were not real citizens, only fake boots, fake accounts, and he received a majority of votes. We don't know how, because in the opinion polls he have 5%, and now we are wondering what's happening now. Some journalists are asking, are demanding, are wondering if it's the end of opinion polls, if the end of mass media, of in the end of television. Maybe we'll find, we hope that we'll find in the next months, not in the next 100 years. But let's talk about AI tools usage in communication marketing. And my colleague and I wanted to identify the AI tools used in Romanian communication marketing, used by Romanian communication marketing professionals. We talked about Romanian agency. We investigate the digital skills required for optimal performance from the agency's perspective. And we'll explore also the cultural difference in AI adoption between professionals working with Romanian and working with Western clients. This is the theoretical field. I will go by just to be in time. There are some cultural influence we noticed in the literature now, and some ethical concerns. Our research objective is to identify the AI tools used in communication marketing agencies in Romania and the practices of usage, to investigate the professional perception regarding AI use, and to explore the digital skills required for AI use according to professional perceptions. The methodology. We made in-depth interviews with 14 marketing and communication professionals. The participants had between 5 years of experience and 10 years of experience. And the interviews were collected via WhatsApp in between January and March this year. The participants, this is their years of experience. The results. Um, Regarding the AI tools used by Romanian communication marketing professionals, they mainly use Canva, ChatGPT, Grammarly, and for SEO they use Ahrefs. senior mostly said they do not use ChatGPT mainly because of its predictable text that are full of cliché. For one example, in our agency, we do not use ChatGPT because it generates only predictable text. It's not the outcome we want. The texts are full of cliché, and the professional can easily notice which agency is using ChatGPT. Seniors prefer a mix of AI tools for specific tasks, such as BART for copyright, VistaGate for visual, or DeepL for better translations. Regarding the perception related to AI use, while some Romanian professionals were a little bit reluctant to AI tools, other Romanians working for American clients manifested a more open and relaxed perspective regarding AI tools implementation in their agencies. For example, customer feedback is positive because thanks to the use of these tools, we are more efficiently. Obviously, efficiency and creativity are appreciated considering the use with the work we have in our agency. It's about an advertising agency from Romania. Regarding the digital skills, if we are talking about juniors said that if you want to work with AI, you need to have analytical skills, strategical approach, creativity, data analysis, Google Ads, copyright, SEO, and to understand human psychologies. As one junior answered, the essential digital skills including data analysis, content creation, and social media management, investigating in online courses, attending workshops, and accessing relevant resources would further enhance these skills. If you are talking about the seniors said that you need to understand and know content writing, content management, adaptability to have the adaptability and capacity to understand human needs, the needs, digital research, performance marketing, and maintaining brand authenticity. One senior answered, we need the brand authenticity and a very clear strategy of what we want to achieve so that you can focus all your activity and your energy there. The capacity to understand human needs and the passion for human psychology seems to be the meeting point of the answers received from seniors and juniors. Discussion as conclusion, this study showed that while juniors use AI tools in their work, seniors prefer a mix of more complex AI and CEO tools. One senior answer provided data to link the professional perspective regarding AI with the cultural dimension of a country, more exactly to mentalities relating to new technology, thus being in line with previous research about machine learning. That people, the idea is that people are rather reluctant to new tools and they don't know if it's gonna be okay or not. They prefer to stay more conservative, let's say. While the digital skills mentioned by junior and senior differ, there is also a common point, understanding human needs. This is also coming from marketing. We need to understand the human's needs and to have a passion for human psychology. Contribution of further research. Existing research on AI transformation effect on digital marketing, enhancing content creation, customer engagement, and overall efficiency. This presentation aligns with these findings, highlighting the Romania agencies using AI to streamless content, engage clients, and improve cost efficiency. Previous slides address culture factors impacting AI adoption, nothing that people experience and social context shape their openness to technology. Novel contribution. This research it highlights local professional hesitance and divides in AI adoption, especially when compared to Western-oriented agency, providing insights specific to the Romanian digital marketing. This study reveals a general divide in tools preference, with the journalists who are using broadly available tools like Canva and ChatGPT, while senior prefer specialized IA tools like BARD and DeepL. This research categorized essential social skills by experience, with junior emphasis on analytics and creative skills, while senior focus on brand authenticity and adaptability. Conclusion. Culture inspires specific to Romania. The emphasis on culture difference in AI adoption within Romania, contrasting with the Western tendency, and provide fresh insight into how regional culture affects technology integration. Regarding the professional perspective segmentation, the differentiation between junior and segment and senior, and the tools they prefer, add a new perspective of offering a more layered understanding of AI penetration in marketing and communication. Okay, this is the limit, and the further research should investigate more of the client perspective and explore further the ethical concern. And thank you.
Thanks, Carolina. Immediate takeaways from this or questions? Like one thing that comes to mind, I noticed you maybe we can speak about this more later. You came back to this idea of human psychology as a shared space, and that can mean a lot of things. And I'm fascinated by that in part because it's really useful to have brought in the marketing and brand world into this conversation.
Yes.
And I can only say from a US context, I think in journalism, we haven't talked enough about, let's say we are 60 years into a brand, like the development of a brand focused economy. So many messages, so much money being spent by news agencies on what is your brand, and complaints about journalism as a brand is failing. And they just all feel like very empty conversations. So this is something I'm taking with me, which is this idea of, okay, we know more and more about human psychology, and in whose hands are those lessons, right? If the brand people are way ahead of journalists on this in the US. So it might be different in different places. But that's one thing that resonates with me. Also, question, did everybody know every type of tool that was named there? Or do you want to ask about what BART is or DeepL, or don't be embarrassed? Yeah.
Maybe one, I don't know if it's a question, but is Canvas really, I don't know if it's an AI tool or just something else. I don't know.
First, I did not use any AI tool. I made it on a traditional way, or a more conservative Romanian way.
No, but that's a good question. What of these tools are, yeah.
So Canva, it is the AI tool because 1 year ago they introduced something which is called Magic Canva, and it is some kind of combination of their developed AI tools and other third-party AI tools. So if you want to use Canva as a AI tool, you can. So you just go, you need to have, of course, subscription, and you can use only Magic Canva. And you, for example, you don't need to use their templates. You can prompt it, and you can get completely generative new template from your textual prompt. So it is completely AI tool, but because you can use it in an old-fashioned way, that's why people sometimes misuse or misunderstand that point. Yes, it's improvement, and every other design tool, for example, Adobe Express or Microsoft Designer also got the AI features. So I think that was maybe the conclusion.
Can we call it an iteration instead of an improvement?
Yeah, it is iteration. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Just to tie this to some of the earlier conversations, right? This question of, look, these were conversations we had when the consumer internet became a real thing 30 and 40 years ago, which is journalists, you have no excuse but to show your notes now, and yet we didn't. And so this question, remember, again, I'm just using this to tie together the conversations, but this idea of, do you tell people when you've used AI? You might have answered in your head at that moment, well, of course we should. And then the next question is, well, every time you've used Canva as part of your process, do you tell I mean, Canva would love for you to tell the world that Canva was part of this process. So
I
interesting
use
question.
it. We play with Canva in classes. I know Canva AI. I only use Canva on the traditional way. Now, for me, Canva is not very updated to generate results, to generate good results in Canva AI. But maybe in the future, we are testing it. I'm from time to time I'm using AI translation like Grammarly. It has AI and it gives me better suggestion about what I could read, what I could say, or what I could explain. It helps me a lot.
Oh, Catalina, thank you so much.
And thank you also.
Stefan, the floor is yours.
Well,
Sure. That's the one. Thank you.
okay. Thank you so much. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good to see so many people in this room. Sometimes I speak for 2 or 3, so it's almost overwhelming. And actually, well, now we're going to turn our attention to journalism again. So away from these trendy communication brand agencies and back to journalists. The study I'll present today is something I do with 2 colleagues from the Danish School of Media and Journalism. I'm the one who was fortunate to come here, so they stay back home. And our institution, it's important to say, is a practice-based school. So it's not a university; it's a practice-based school, and which also probably resonates with the study I present here, which is very much done in collaboration with the industry. A lot of the stuff we do, the research development projects, are done with the industry as partners. Introduction to the study, it says up there where it cuts. I guess I ran out of space as well on my slide. Basically, we asked this research question: how is AI used in newsroom practices in Scandinavia today? So we are interested in exploring how it's used right now across Scandinavian newsroom. So TV, print, online, radio, etc. And we are sort of keen on talking to journalists. And sometimes it's kind of tricky to get to talk to those journalists, because often when we reach out to the industry, they feel like maybe you should talk to this editor instead, or this strategist, or the analytical department. So it seems like maybe I'm not sure if they're hiding something, but they would sort of invite us to talk to those people. So we also talk to editors. But our main goal is actually to talk to the journalist and sort of get into the everyday use of AI right now. And we are sort of about halfway through the study. We're doing around 20 interviews. We've done 10 or 12, I think. Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. And then we report the findings along the way, which is also maybe something that is a bit unusual. We do podcast where we sort of report on the findings and different lectures. And then we're hosting a conference in Copenhagen on January 10th, 2025. So you can note that maybe if you're interested in going to Copenhagen and attend a conference where we sort of present the final results. So these are the preliminary results, I guess. But basically the goal of our research is to sort of enrich the industry understanding of AI use and its challenges, and maybe perhaps more importantly, because of the institution we are, to strengthen the journalism education when it comes to AI. That's our ambition anyway. So what I will do today is present a few of the findings, and then I'll also talk a little bit about some of the challenges and advantages of working with the industry. And I'm pretty sure there's no findings indicating that the journalists share their notes with AI. So I'm not sure if you're, but we didn't find that. But here are some of the findings from a Norwegian TV station. It's not hard to figure out which one it is if you know this big project they did. I'm not going to tell you who it is. Maybe you can research on your own. But what they did there is quite innovative use of AI in journalism, actually. They utilized AI to sort of to dig into this nature loss project, where they basically wanted to unpack how nature has changed in Norway and what the areas where there used to be nature and there's no longer nature, what happened to those spaces in Norway? So basically, they used a lot of imagery, satellite images, and got AI to interpret the images, because there's like 200,000 images or something like that. So they really needed a machine to do that work. And interestingly so, they also developed an AI-based fact-checking system that then verified the interpretation of the images done by the other AI. So basically the machine controlling the machine. So I don't know, welcome to the future, or what's going on here. But that was a very useful use case here. What they also do at this place is that they use it for generating illustrations and drafting sort of formal letters. But basically all that use is not for the journalism production, but rather if you need to do like a recommendation letter or present an idea internally to editors, then you use the AI to do that, but not the final product itself. Another takeaway or main finding was that they often use the AI for ID generation. So I'm pretty sure they still talk to each other in the newsroom, but they also talk to the AI and basically use it as a dialogue partner to get feedback on their ideas. So basically develop the ideas by sharing it with the AI and getting some feedback on it. They use it for enhancing language, especially going from passive to active voices, finding synonyms, creating alliterations. They also shared the experience that AI, they acknowledge that the AI has a bias for sure, and that it's very much based on maybe US values or a US way of thinking. But they also acknowledge, well, our journalist has biases too. And some of the journalists' biases can actually be tackled, or at least maybe refined by implying or using the AI to counter some of those biases. For instance, they had a specific example where they covered EAT. So this is a Norwegian institution, probably a lot of people, maybe not really Christian people, but more like non-believers, but not very much knowledgeable about EAT. So what they did was to use the AI to sort of unpack how EAT was covered in, I think, Turkey and other nations, and then try to use that knowledge for developing ideas for their own coverage of EAT. So in this way, sort of countering some of the potential bias that the journalist might have by taking advantage of the AI. Basically, they feel that AI is something that complements human skills, especially for routine tasks. They do have very strict guidelines in terms of using AI-generated images to avoid confusion with real photographs. And they also raised the idea that, well, AI is certainly a transformative tool in journalism. It will not replace journalists, but journalists who don't use AI will be replaced by the journalists who do, which is kind of what is said in the quote here, which was said by an editor. But still, there's probably some truth to that, even though it's an editor. Moving on to a tabloid newspaper. I only have 2 cases here, just if you're sort of afraid of your lunch break or something. The second case is a tabloid newspaper. Again, we're in Norway. I don't know if it's the oil money, but Norway is sort of using AI quite a lot. Here, they are very much using, it's a tabloid newspaper, but it's also a tabloid newspaper who's very strong on investigative reporting. And they use AI very much here for enhancing data collection, for creating analysis of the data, and sort of process automation. Basically also doing some coding, finding patterns in the large data material and finding possible stories in that material. They have a lot of tools that are sort of made for the journalists that are very easy to craft, where they basically just have to press a button. If they want to get a summary of an article that they've written, they can get the AI to do that. And actually the sort of AI-generated summaries of their articles is the most read stuff on their website. So, and that's very much declared. I mean, it's kind of very much clearly declared that this is summarized by AI. And it's, yeah, extremely popular to read those AI summarizes. Then they also have a very specific use of AI in terms of legal assistance. So being a tabloid newspaper that often does larger investigative projects, they often need to ask for, what's the English word? When you want to get information from like public institutions that should sort of hand it out.
We would say FOIA requests.
Okay, FOIA request. Okay, good.
The U.S.
Okay, yeah. So in order to ask for that, they need to fill out applications all the time, and they get the AI to do that. They basically build a context database that feeds the AI with, of course, all the legal stuff, like the laws, public laws, media laws, but also previous cases where the application has been turned down and there's been a case and maybe reverting the final decision. So all the sort of legal materials and decisions surrounding this type of application, and then getting the AI to draft these applications. And we didn't get their numbers, but they claim that they have, after using AI for this particular use, have gained tremendous increase in the amount of applications that are actually accepted, and thus getting much more information from these public institutions. Then they also did they have a sort of an AI mapping system where they are able to ask the AI to map different articles and the actors or agents in that article and find patterns. For instance, finding, okay, this woman is married to this man whose uncle owns this company that went bankrupt 2 years ago. And before that, it was owned by the son of the lawyer that also works for the husband, or something like that. And by finding those patterns and maybe indicating that there's something here, they start researching a story, which would probably not be as clearly visible to them if the AI system hadn't sort of made the pattern clear. They, I guess I have to move on now, I think. They really stress the need to train, especially younger journalists, to foundational journalism skills in order for them to really critically be able to access the AI-generated outputs. So I think they sort of really stressing, well, you need the basic journalism skills in order to hand over the stuff to the AI in order to be able to interpret what the AI then does, which is sort of a key takeaway from them. And also, of course, yeah, that human oversight is essential in the process of using AI. Okay, I'll just say a few words about the sort of benefits and maybe not so much benefits of working with industry partners. Certainly, there's something about getting new real-life data, so the sort of here and now, because journalists and editors that are sort of on the front lines of technical adoption will provide sort of these first-hand technical insights into how AI is actually being used right now. That can sort of lead to some very detailed use cases. And also the benefit of these early adopters, it's kind of when we reach out, I guess that kind of makes sense. The people who want to talk to us are the people who use AI and maybe also the enthusiasts. But then we can get this kind of early knowledge on what actually goes on in the industry. They can provide some valuable context in terms of their setting in the particular newsroom and how that functions. And then you also can get the critical perspective in terms of ethics, in terms of how they have also experienced maybe some pitfalls in terms of the AI. But we also found some challenges. Of course, there's limited generalizability, but there's also something about time and availability. Often these people are rather busy and don't have much time to talk to us. And sometimes we have this kind of gatekeeper thing that the sort of editor thinks it's better to talk to the editor or the CEO than the journalist reporter on the floor. We could have potential biases in terms of really reaching out to people who are enthusiastic about the AI use. So we have to think about that. And there's also something about, some hesitancy maybe to share at least sort of more detailed notes, confidentiality concerns, organizational guidelines, strategic things that goes on with AI in-house. So we, of course, don't get to know everything. But I do think that they actually told us quite a lot. And then, of course, but I don't know if this is because of the industry, but I mean, AI is changing so rapidly. So some of these interview data I share with you today is done maybe 3 months ago. So maybe it's kind of old news now. So that's just, I guess, one of the pitfalls as well. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks, Stefan. Why don't you join us back at high altitude and first any takeaways or questions directly for Stefan, and then we can pull people back into the full conversation. Yes. Hi.
Verica Rupar, a professor of journalism from New Zealand and also Media Diversity Institute academic consultant. Thank you all for your really interesting presentations. I have two quick questions for Stefan, and both are coming from that case study of tabloid newspaper. I wonder who is doing that training of young journalists in a newsroom. And the other thing is, and it follows up what Tassia said this morning, how important it is to work both with the management and with the lower operational level in a newsroom. So managers, editors, journalists. But what is also missing are IT specialists that work in all news organizations, who are usually computer scientists and who might be able to help with redesigning some of these tools that are coming from the outside world. So I wonder if your study has generated some data on that, how much they are involved. Thanks.
Is it on? Yes, it is. I think when we visited the tabloid newspaper, I think we visited on a Thursday, and on the following Monday, they would sort of open their AI group. So, and I think part of that AI group was both to sort of consider the strategy of the newspaper, but also to implement a more formal training. Because at that time, 3 days before Monday, they didn't have any formal training. So it was more like younger people maybe asking senior reporters, how do you do about this tool, or what should I pay attention to here? One thing maybe important to recognize is that one of the informants that we talked to was a journalist, but before being trained in journalism, he was a computer scientist. So I guess he also had that mixed background and a thorough knowledge of the whole sort of the technical depth. I'm not sure. The second question, was that in terms of the different levels of management, or? Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not sure we actually gathered much information in terms of that. I mean, apart from the fact that this particular journalist was also a computer scientist. Of course, they do have like coders and UX people. They do a lot of stuff that is very much sort of on the back end as well, where they actually share data on a weekly basis in terms of which journalists use which AI tools. So you can see like a top 5 ranking of who used the summarizer the most this week, or who used the legal assistance tool this week. I guess as a way to really promote these tools and maybe also put some pressure on the journalists to actually use the AI. I'm not sure if that's an answer to your question, but I think it's an interesting detail.
We'll get to Andy in a second. I think this could be interesting throughout the day too, which is journalists, journalism, acts of journalism, journalistic processes, right? So in the design thinking conceit, you are supposed to ask people and survey them, and then you're supposed to observe what they actually do. And if there were all the time in the world, right, which is an ongoing theme here, is AI will give us more time to do the things that we're supposed to do. So maybe not. If there were all the time in the world, the next stage of the process would be to actually watch the flow from idea to product and see who's involved at that point, because we have Pierre is a good example, right? The data team at ICIJ, you might see them listed and say, oh, well, these are the people who support. When you get a terabyte of data and you put it in journalists' hands who sometimes can't even read one page, you need people to help process that, right? And you might not label them journalists, but at the end of the day, who cares? The journalism is moving through all these people. So I appreciate you raising that point. Like all aspects. Andy.
Actually, like that question kind of sparked an idea because we are kind of talking about journalists, upskilling journalists, like training journalists how to become data journalists or science communicators and whatnot. So let's reverse it. So because we are talking about like the business of journalism, do you think, or what's your take on training, let's say, IT specialists with like journalistic skills, or like other people in the journalism business that's not really involved in the news production, but they are involved in the news presentation process? What's your take on that?
Well, if I should respond quickly, yeah, sure. Okay, very quickly. I guess coming from a journalism school, I always advocate for the journalism basics to be the most important, and then you can always build IT stuff on top. But Danish National Radio, so our main broadcaster, recently laid off a lot of journalists actually, and they started hiring UXers and coders instead. So in terms of that, and they are not only to sort of be on like technical side, they're actually also going to be on the journalism side. Of course, partnering with journalists, but really producing journalism. So on that note, there's something going on there.
Yeah, I would say I'm still in an early stage about AI, but to me, in this discussions now, it reminds me a lot. 2010, I was in Washington, D.C. at the Online News Association annual meeting, and their big data was the big thing. And it was really in every talk, it was about data journalism is the new, you can't live without it anymore. I think few people talk about data journalism so much now. And as I heard Pierre today talking, in my view, first resume, it is kind of a hype that I would say the core journalistic skills count more still and will count more.
Let's see. Yeah, Mohammed, and oh no, we'll go in the back first. All right.
Thank you. I just wanted to comment on the last presentation. It was a great presentation, but just wanted to share something from my experience. I think these kinds of research, because as you said, it's an early stage, and some of the data you are collecting, it's already old news when you are going to publish it. But I think with the quote you shared about AI will not replace you, the people who are using AI will replace you, I think it's one way of putting a spotlight on that is like we are using it in a psychology terms like a rationalization for our cognitive biases and our cognitive dissonances. Because what is the problem inside of that? When someone know how to use AI, that exchange is not linear and one-on-one exchange. So people who are capable on using AI will replace multiple people. So it's not like I am now outdated, someone else will, I don't know, transform themselves and they will know. It's not like that. Especially in the coming years when agents, we already discussed about that this morning. So it is one way of rationalizing our human position, and we are trying to be cautious and say, okay, maybe it's not alarm yet because, okay, I need to transform, but I'm afraid it's not like it. I wish for it to be like that, but I'm afraid it's a much more complex than that. And I think the people, it's completely natural way trying to rationalize because we don't know what future comes or brings with itself. So I think we need to be in methodological way cautious about their perspective because it's completely human and completely natural to think like that. Thank you.
Like, actually, give us a little context. Like, where are you? Tell us Where are you coming from? And you're speaking later today?
Yeah. I'm a senior teaching assistant University of Banja Luka in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I'm also a consultant for UNESCO, Thomson Foundation, and Internews program based on AI in Sarajevo. So that's why I was pointing out in this comment, because that's why I refused to do a PhD in the AI 2 years ago when ChatGPT was introduced, because I was aware that because I need to finish it in 10 days from today, and I know that I made a good decision, because if I'm going to publish it in 10 days from now, everything will be so outdated because everything is changed in 2 years. And what future is bringing, I'm afraid we just need to be more, maybe to motivate the journalists to be more honest with themselves first, and then to share more precise data. That's why I refuse to do that, because I knew that the topic is very, very changing in minute from minute, and it's very, very because 2025, and I know next media point 2025 will be based around AI agents, because that's the main topic in next year, and everyone will be talking about, and I can bet that you will organize media point about AI agents, because it will be inevitable next year. Thank you.
Well, while the microphone is migrating to Mohammed, I want to point out something with it that's an opportunity for us here. MediaPoint tends to be a mix of practitioners and academics, and we don't have enough moments where we bring together people who get to live in the world of theory and the people who are living in the world of practice. Academics will hate this framing. I mean it with love. I think going back to periods that Alexis is talking about, there was a moment where I realized, okay, journalists are the canary in the coal mine with all sorts of digital disruption. And academics are the cockroaches in the coal mine, meaning academics will survive a lot longer and think they will be able to keep doing things the same way longer than the rest of us, but even the cockroaches get poisoned. And the sooner we engage more deliberatively about, like, share what we know from places, like, we need the academic world to live in the world of theory, because the journalism world, like the other, too many metaphors here, but the Barracuda problem, like, that's shiny, I'm gonna look at that, And we could look at every technological disruption and probably go back and find articles where we could just replace big data with AI. We could replace the word, and we journalists would, like, we didn't even need machines to take over. We essentially were our own repetitious cycle. So in the time we have left today, let's think about how we can sort of share notes. And one of the things that comes to mind is, well, how do you educate? What are principles of journalism? What are the core roots that you can put into practice by having people in it, like your cohort, having people in this space question, consider, without having to be a US journalist who's wondering if they're part of the layoffs tomorrow or next week. So let's think about these sort of partnerships. And Mohammed, yes, thank you for your patience.
With
And then it's time for lunch, I think, after this. Is that right? No, we have?
Yes.
Okay, all right, good.
With all the respect due to the moderator, Graham, if he allow me this question a little bit borderline. My question to Stefan, first of all, thank you for your interesting presentation. I'm very interested by the way your school of journalism is organized, particularly this practice-oriented organization. Could you tell us a little bit about how do you found this kind of equilibrium between academic and industry? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Let's see how to phrase this. Well, we are an independent institution, so we're not part of a university or other school. Governmental funded. I don't think it's that unusual in the sort of Europe or Scandinavia. I'm not sure, but what can I say? I think the school has moved from being entirely practice-based and more or less almost run by the industry. Kind of the industry sort of decided what we should do, kind of, and then gradually moving to not totally academic approach, but somewhat academic approach. So it's still practice-based, but there's more like academic, more theory, more methodology, and less intervention or control from the industry. But they are still present. They are in our board and get a say, but they don't get to have the final say. So it's more a conversation now rather than a order, if that makes sense.
No. Do you have an answer to this too? No?
Wait. You don't have to. You don't have to answer.
No.
You want to be able to
Once I did, you're going to ask me.
Yeah, right. To say.
Do you still have the microphone behind it?
My question was addressed to Stefan in particular, but if you want to share your experience too, you are welcome.
I think maybe this issue of kind of what should we be, practice theory, the sort of this balance of
Education. Yeah. I think, it's always like we have a saying at LMU often with our students, we can't teach you the practice better than the practical world. So for us at LMU, we see us more for the theory, for maybe this being the cockroach. And besides your studying, you have the time to be freelancer, and really to be on the peak, you have to freelance. I think this is also like writing your PhD about AI. Sure, you can do it, because you should raise the bigger questions just. And so, yeah, like get your practice in practice and with us the theory.
Okay, this is the last question comment.
Maybe not, because I have a question to Mohamed.
Well,
I'm Vincent Swiss from University of Applied Sciences in Winterthur, Zurich. Mohamed, that's interesting what you ask Stefan. I would like to know, why did you raise this question? Is this a little bit of skepticism here? I could understand it. Could you please say more about the motive behind your question?
There is no agenda behind my question. To be honest, it's only to satisfy my curiosity, nothing else. But I could say that I have a background, because maybe I'd like to say this afternoon that I'm an academic, but I have also 3 decades of experience in journalism, in business journalism, as first journalist, and then as editor-in-chief of one of the famous business daily in Morocco, which is L'Economist. So maybe it's what we call in French déformation professionnelle. I mean, it's with time, it's normal for me to ask also about how actors, how maybe interesting organization. I will also, for me, it could be a model maybe to duplicate in my country. This is the only reason why I asked this question.
Perfect. All right. Thank you all. Thank you to our speakers. And where are we off to next, Mark? Anyway, thank you to the speakers.